Okay, welcome back. I'm sure glad that you're back and you're listening and you're here. We are ready for homework number 2 for week number 2. And the great news is that I think this one's pretty quick. There's only 3 things and they're really visual. And so you should be able to just really go through this one quickly. So I found basically 3 types of problems. One is just understanding basically how a limit's written and how you say it. And then the other is using tables and then graphs to find limits. And again, very visual. So there's not a lot of actual like computational math for you to do for this homework assignment. And so we're going to just talk about how limits are written and what they look like. And so the way that they're worded is like this: the limit of a certain function as x approaches something, and then what it equals. And so they're going to ask you sometimes just to basically write it out. And so this one would look like this: the limit, and then you use this part here, as x approaches 5 of, in this case, the function 4 to the x equals, so is, and then 1024. So this is the limit of this function as x approaches 5 is 1024. So these are the same thing, and they'll just ask for you to be able to fill in blanks that make it look like this. And notice that if you take this 5 and plug it in right there for the x, I hope it's true that 4 to the 5th power does indeed equal 1024, because that's kind of the whole points of limits, is that you're saying like what it's approaching or what it's getting to. And so hopefully that math was correct there, and they're not lying to you, and hopefully 4 to the 5th power really does equal that. Okay, so that's pretty simple, just understanding how to say them and what they look like. And then we get to the kind where they show you these tables with so many numbers, and then they ask you what the limit's approaching. Well, I want you to kind of get the general idea of what's going on here. So this is the negative side of things, going towards some certain number. And this is the positive side of things, going towards some certain number. And it should be that this number here is whatever you're finding the limit of here. These better match, or else the table's not set up right, but they're going to be nice to you and they're going to set it up right. So it should be that this is getting closer and closer and closer to 0 coming from the negative side. And then it should be that this is getting closer and closer and closer to 0 coming from the positive side. And so you'll see that that's true. And so what you need to look is at these numbers and see what these are getting closer to. As these are getting closer to 0, what's happening over here with the y value? What's this getting closer to here? And this is an interesting one. I just picked one, but on this case, I hope you'll notice that this as well is getting closer and closer and closer to 0. This is getting smaller and smaller to almost nothing, and this is getting smaller and smaller to almost nothing. So in the case of this function, this would also be 0. So these are approaching 0, which is this one, and then these are approaching 0, which is this one. You'll see sometimes though where these will be like 12 point, like negative 12, negative 12, negative 12, negative 12. And then these will be like 11s, 11, 11, 11, 11, getting like closer and closer and closer to 12 on each side or 11 on each side. And so just look really carefully at what's happening here, because it's not always 0 on either of them really. And so you're just looking at what is this approaching and what is this approaching. Okay, and then my favorite kind is the graphs. I just think graphs are awesome. I happen to love graphing things. And so they're going to give you an already completed graph and just ask you what the limit is. And sometimes it'll have no open dots, and sometimes it'll have open dots. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. This is your x-axis. So this is 2 on the x-axis. So what it's basically saying is, as you're approaching 2 from both sides, where am I heading to? What is that y value? So in this case, no matter if I'm coming towards 2 from the left or 2 from the right, no matter what, I'm approaching that number 3. And so on this one, the limit as x is getting closer and closer to 2 would give me a value of 3. And just as a side note, sometimes they'll have an open dot here and they'll put a closed dot somewhere like this, trying to trick you. They want to see if you'll put negative 2 as an answer. But no, because limit means where is it approaching and where it is approaching. It's not asking like where the closed dot is. It's saying like when you're looking at the two sides, where are they going to? Well, even with an open dot there, this is still going to 3 and this is still going to 3. This is getting closer to 3 and this is getting closer to 3. So even there, though there's an open dot right there, it's still 3. So don't let those little closed dots trick you. Remember that limits are just telling you like where is it approaching and where is it getting close to. So that's it for homework number 2, week number 2. That one hopefully will go pretty quickly for you.